Welcome to the news review portion of the AM show. It's always a great pleasure to dig into the papers, and we're going to do exactly that. And now I have the Finder newspaper, the Ghanaian Times, the Ghanaian Publisher, the Daily Statesman, the Daily Post, the Catalyst, among others. What do you have, Mordi?
Oh, Your Excellency, wise and brave Benjamin Akako. I'll do the Daily Graphic, the Chronicle, the Daily Guide, the Hawk. There's one more paper, the Daily Searchlights.
Wait, are you challenging me to come and, have any discourse with you to determine whether or not I am culpable in any way?
Aren't we doing something except that you don't have your two lawyers?
Interesting times. Anyway, that is the story I will start with. But let's check out first what the Daily Graphic, that's a very interesting headline there.
Yes, rejected ballots, potential third force. It's a big question on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. You see, that's put in graphics beautifully, but it's not funny. It says, in spite of the country's globally acclaimed democratic credentials, the issue of rejected ballots during elections remains a challenge. It even appears that without adequate education, going into the December 7 elections, the situation may repeat itself. Rejected ballots come about when some voters do not do things right or simply get confused with the voting process, thereby wasting the most sought-after electoral asset, the ballots. So basically, that's what the paper is highlighting today on the front page of their paper, which is absolutely very important. Hopefully we can share a bit more with you in the course of our review. Also, security agencies charged to enforce COVID-19 protocols. Election years record higher road fatalities according to road safety statistics. And then Ministry of Business Development profile in the paper today. That's what's in the center spread, is talking about its success story so far. On the back page, though, former UN physician team developed snake anti-venom for Africa. A physician who was formerly with the United Nations, Dr. Akshay Rath, has led a team of research scientists to manufacture a snake anti-venom purposely for the African continent. It was manufactured this year. It's known as Beefreak 10, and according to Dr. Rath, it was produced using venom from snakes, which are home to Africa. And then the final one on the back page, court discharges 3 more alleged secessionists. It says an Accra Circuit Court has discharged 3 more persons alleged to have participated in activities aimed at seceding parts of the Volta region from Ghana. The suspect, the paper publishes their name and says the court, presided over by Rosemond Tosu, had earlier discharged 22 of the accused persons who belonged to another set of suspects who had been arraigned. The court discharged the 3 yesterday after the prosecution presented a new charge sheet that excluded them from a new list that contained the names of 24 accused persons. There's more to the story you can read on, but for now, that's it for the graphic.
Let's move on to the Finder newspaper now. And here's what they found. Coronavirus cases rising due to non-wearing of masks. That's according to the Ghana Health Service. So something we all ought to take stock of. And look at us in the studio. We're masked up. We're trying to do the right thing. So, hey, let's all do this together, because if you get it, I could get it. If I get it, you could get it. Then Amidu, Mahama lock horns, and this trade of remarks, it's the sparring session, right? Anyway, we'll delve a bit into that story. I know we'll definitely look at it because many of the papers capture it, and that's over the €5 million Airbus bribery scandal. Ghana card holders can now use it to access NHIS. I've been speaking to a few people out there, and some would tell you, Mamavi, I don't have the Ghana card, or I don't have the NHIS card, or some don't even have either of them. This would be a good time to actually get at least one so you can move forward. But if you have the 2, then you can just synchronize them and things become easier. School feeding program pays 280 million Ghana CD arrears. That's according to the national coordinator. Then Akufo-Addo's industrialization agenda unmatched in Fourth Republic. That's what the NPP is saying. But the story also interested me on page 5. Cassava processing factory for Keta progressing. That's a very interesting development there. That's in the Chiame Doveme area. And the factory is a partnership between the Keta Municipal Assembly and the investing company, Homeku Engineers and Planners. So that's it with the Finder newspaper. Let's move on to the next one.
Yes, the Chronicle for me, front page of the Chronicle says, Mr. Wise and Brave, come and meet me. Amidu also dares Mahama. And then we have put 76, 1 district, 1 factory in operation, says Nana Kumia, speaking for the NPP. Government secures 170 million euros to open bank. And then NHIS and Ghana cards integrated. So basically, front page headlines, the Chronicle newspaper. On the back page, they've got some sports stories. Partey skips Ghana duty as he awaits thigh injury scan. I guess the biggest for me. And then 2021 AFCON qualifiers. Ghana begins camping ahead of Sudan clash.
So when you go to the Ghanaian Times newspaper, one of the stories captured there, debt-owed contractors, government pays 800 million Ghana cedis for completed Get Fund projects. Then Ghana Oil Gas awards 41 COIS personalities on it. There's also this one when it comes to the health setup. Ghana Health Service to set up COVID-19 sample collection centers across the country. Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje, Director General of the GHS, speaking there. And MacDan hails government's decision to absorb electricity bills of citizens and industries. So those are some interesting headlines from the Ghanaian Times newspaper. When you go to the back page, it says 3-day green economy development meeting underway in Accra. And how about this one? UNFPA to end preventable maternal deaths and gender-based violence. That's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper this morning.
Let's get into the Daily Guide. Front page of the Daily Guide says, Amidu dares Mahama on the Airbus scandal. Don't compare NDC to Biden. Ghana card to replace NHIS card. You can't stop December polls. Court sacks Jataba. More factories coming, according to the NPP. And then ex-Nana aide Krapa donate to Uti NPP. That's what you find on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper.
The Daily Statesman this morning says, First Lady urges Ningo Prampram to consider NPP MP. You know, that has been a stronghold of the NDC for quite a while, since the days of E.T. Mensah. Well, Trump's one-term presidency has useful lessons for Mahama. You'll find out who exactly is saying that. Now, Akufo-Addo's industrialization effort unmatched. That's according to the MPP. You are not worth the vote. Amidu replies Mahama over Airbus, quote, stupidity, unquote, attack. So that is it for the Daily Statesman newspaper. I think I'll pick a story from here.
Okay, let me just run through the Hawk and the Daily Searchlight, just what's on the front page. Is it game over for Trump? Biden is projected winner of election, while Trump insists election is far from over. World leaders are rushing to congratulate Biden. Just a wrap of what's happening with the U.S. elections occupies the banner headline of the Hawk newspaper. It also says, Nkranza South campaign boosted as Framers Aid donates to constituency. And then moving UESD, I've got to get the full name of this, is the University of Environment and Sustainable Development from Afram Plains to Achim Abuakwa, which says to your homeland unfair, according to former President Mahama. So that's how the front page looks like. On the back, NCCE urged EC to publish 30,000 names deleted from voters' register. It says the National Commission for Civic Education has called on the Electoral Commission to publish the details of over 30,000 voters whose names were deleted from the voters' register for breaching registration regulation. The move, according to the NCCE, will help avoid chaos on election day. And then EC to create new constituency for Oti is another story on the back page of the Hawk.
Let's do the Ghanaian publisher. And minority leader demands protection of experienced MPs from people with fat wallets. So I guess it's not a majority thing. It's a parliamentary thing. And the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, has actually joined lamentations about the monetization of the country's democracy by people with fat wallets. This development, he said, is a serious threat to Ghana's growing democracy, but particularly to the House of Parliament as a third arm of government. He expressed concern in his closing remarks when Parliament rose sine die last Saturday, stressing the need for political parties to accept necessary reforms to protect experienced members of Parliament. And quite an interesting development, because per our laws, it is he who wins or she who wins goes to Parliament. But now the bit about, oh, you've been there for 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, you're playing this role and you have institutional memory, and so you should be protected in a way. Mama V, protection?
No.
Isn't that what we've been criticizing when it comes to, these same big parties and all of that? Famously or infamously, the majority leader and some others have come under the same, bit, and people were talking about protection or otherwise. Here we are again. Now the minority is also jumping into the fray. Herbert Kwapa donates 50 motorbikes to a TMPP. You're not worth our vote. Amidu to Mahama. You can now access, okay, so this story I've done. Kwadwo Asamoah, the shoemaker, praises Adwo Asafo for bringing life back to his business. It's a wrap for the Ghanaian publisher.
I'm done, so you can go ahead with the...
then let me do, actually, the catalyst this morning. Police widows cry out, we are suffering. And government is about common sense, JM to Kufuor. And people will struggle to get 45% at the December polls. That is Elvis Efrie Ankra. The Daily Post talks about the Ghana Business Awards and how Dr. Joseph Siawe Japong has been named Entrepreneur of the Decade. And this final one, EC, Judiciary and Parliament must learn from U.S. elections, according to former President John Dramani Mahama. Shall we dig in?
Yes.
Right, so let me start on a bit of a lamenting note, if I may put it, and I'll begin with the Catalyst newspaper. Police widows cry out. The widows of police officers who died in the course of active service have expressed their challenges and frustrations regarding their means of survival in the absence of their departed husbands. The widows made known their challenges and frustrations in the 2020 Police Memorial Day event organized by the Ghana Police Service in honor of the fallen officers at the National Police Training School in Tesano, Accra. The reason I'm bringing this up, we often, complain about the poor delivery when it comes to our police officers, that a lot of them are not up to scratch, that they don't deliver what we expect as a people. But I guess sometimes too, there are those other constraints about what they get at the end of the month, and skills acquisition, even fitting for the work that they have to do and all of that, even in court. But of course, single spine affected them. If you remember from way back, they've been beneficiaries of some of these, but it appears it may not necessarily be enough, but especially with these widows whose husbands, unfortunately, have fallen this year. My question is, what mechanisms are in place beyond maybe the pension schemes and all of that they might have been on? What mechanisms are in place to protect the interests of these families? Because in a nutshell, that is what the widows are crying out for. So a big call there, and we'll see how the police service and maybe government as a whole, the executive, will respond to that one. So that's it for my first story.
I wanted us to talk about the rejected ballots.
Most definitely.
The Daily Graphics is asking if it's a potential third force, and it talks about the fact that since Ghana's return to multi-party democracy in 1992, rejected ballots have seen swings in every election. So some 149,813 rejected ballots were recorded in 1992. There were 111,108 in 1996, 119,372 in 2000, before the figure surged to 188,123 in 2004. So that's what the graph, if we bring back the front page of the Daily Graphic on the screen, you would see. It comes with the figures and the years.
But when you look at 2012, pretty disturbing. Look at the figure there.
Yes, that's
Is that
really
251,000?
251,720. And then, of course, in 2016, it came down, but still very high because the figure, 2016 figure is 167,349. So very important question the paper is asking, very legitimate considering, how we've come. And you would think that we would actually be going down steadily.
When I looked at the figures, that's exactly what I was thinking. So what we experienced in the last election is pretty much what we saw in 1992, if you look at the proximity of the figures. And that also means, because you put together what the smaller parties get, and even juxtapose that with the prediction made by Ben Efson, that this year, all of them put together will not even get 4%. And you look at the percentages we are chalking here, indeed, that is a third force. And if we can eliminate that, who knows how these are affecting, even whom we get to call Mr. President? Who knows? Or even our parliamentarians. So a serious matter we ought to look at. But in looking at it, I ask myself, has enough education been done? By the Electoral Commission, by the National Commission for Civic Education and all of that? And are we, the people, even receptive enough to the education? That's another
I think we have to, when the ballots, because they're still printing the ballots, right? Because there has to be that specific part of the education where you use the ballot paper to do the education, so that you know that if you're voting for this person, that's where, the prints must go to. Otherwise, it would be rejected because you voted for two persons and you can't vote for two, and you would have wasted your vote.
Do you know that there are people who may even be thinking that, look, once I place my thumb here and it's maybe there's a smudge or something, oh, it's good to go. I don't even know that I have the right to request, a different, ballot to vote and all of that. Some people may think, oh, it's all right, they'll see it, only for you to realize that, well, you will not know, but in the end, your ballot may not even be counted among the many. So a lot more education, I think, is needed on that subject.
Okay, yeah, so I guess that's what we are highlighting. That's the difference between false ballots and rejected ballots. Rejected ballots will not count. If it's false, like the way you describe it, then it can be changed for you.
Anyway, so this one on page 3, you are not worth our vote, Amidu tells Mahama. Special Prosecutor Amidu says former President Mahama's response to the Airbus comment in the Ejapa report is a clear indication of his lack of appreciation of issues of security and intelligence. He stated that if Mahama did not understand why he, Amidu, had to put his investigations on the Airbus scandal on hold, then he did not deserve to be voted for as president. So in a nutshell, Amidu saying this is a national security matter. And what interests me, though, Amidu seems to be coaxing the former president. He says, if you're man enough, oh, ye wise and brave former president, if you're man enough, braha, come closer and let's discourse on this matter. And let's see whether you'll still have that smirk on your face, so to speak, when we're done. But my only worry here is, if I keep saying corruption, no longer a misdemeanor, a felony, comes with stiffer punishment. Corruption is making our country bleed. If you feel the former president has engaged in corruption, dabbled in any activity that is inimical to, the financial health of the state, what do you do? Are you going to say, is Martin Amidu saying if someone is corrupt and the person doesn't, come forth, public official and all of that, he can't wade into the matter and do what ought to be done? Then in that case, I'll be asking myself, what exactly is the use of the office again? The Special Prosecutor's Office? I'm just asking. I'm just being blunt. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking same. And this is where I'll throw the ball to Mama V, whom I know will just...
I would just say that I don't think that this is
I don't get it.
I don't think it's healthy for us.
I don't get it.
Too much back and forth for me, really.
And I beg to... So assuming, I keep making this assumption, assuming he does become president, are you now going to pursue him with the case?
Oh, he said it in his very last sentence of that 2-page piece that he released yesterday. And he says, I just want to quickly read. This is towards the end. My friendship with the Minister for Finance never stopped
Yeah.
me from making a professional assessment on the conduct of the Ministry of Finance in the 64-page Ijapa assessment report. I have no brother or friend when it comes to my crusade against preventing corruption and fighting corruption. Ghana first always. So I guess with that said, it really doesn't matter if the former president becomes president and he's still the special prosecutor. He'll still go ahead and do his work.
I think it would serve the people's purpose better if you could prevent a problem of this nature rather than wait for a sore to fester before you try to heal it, because then it might be gangrenous and you might have to chop it off, and that might be detrimental.
Okay, let's do
the fortunes of our country.
Let's do myjoyonline.com. And this is, okay, so here we go. I was just going to explain a little bit about the sports ballots and the rejected ballots and the things that constitute rejected ballots, since we've touched on it. But on our page, Ben, would you like to take us through?
So My Joy Online, at least this first one, our delusion about defeating COVID-19 got the best of us. That's according to the Ghana Medical Association. They're saying that we became happy too little too soon, and that has got us some problems. Amidu is also trending there. Wise and brave Mahama show up to, so I interrogate you. Amidu dares NDC presidential candidate. COVID-19 cases will keep increasing without a vaccine. That's according to a virologist getting into that one. Again, on COVID-19, we can't blame surge in active COVID-19 cases on reopening of air borders. That's according to CDD Ghana. And if you listen to Mr. President just a few days ago, he actually indicated that at Kotoka, if you look at the numbers, then it's just a pittance, a drop in the bucket, basically. Then, no leader in Ghana's Fourth Republic can compare to Akufo-Addo in industrialization. That's according to the NPP. And maybe this one I'll do for now. That's the final one. Akufo-Addo will be one-term president, just like Trump, Ofosu-Ampofo of the NDC, saying that. So that's it for My Joy Online this morning. Well, that's how we wrap it up as far as the news review is concerned. Sports comes your way next. Look forward to that one on the AM show. Stay tuned.